Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Two Robbies podcast. I'm Robbie Mustoe, and before we get started, we just want to remind you of some great episodes we've had lately, including our latest Premier League on NBC group chat with Rebecca Lowe, Earle, Whiteley, Dixon, Graham, Mustoe and Carl Martino discussing our favourite footballing memories. Some really great stories in there. We also released our episode with Jim Beglin on Saturday, April the 4th, where we dissected Liverpool's great teams of the 80s when Jim played at Anfield and compared those sides to this current team under Jurgen Klopp. Thanks again to Jim for spending the time with us. So if you haven't already, please make sure you check out those episodes on the Two Robbies podcast feed.
And he's Mustoe. I'm the Earle of Robbie. I'm here just to give you one more message and tell you that while there's no football at the moment, there's plenty of content coming out on NBC. And I can tell you right now, you can get free access to the Premier League Pass on NBC Sports Gold. You can watch on-demand games, show analysis, documentaries, much more content, some classic games with Mustoe and myself are involved, some top 5 Premier League lists of all the teams, some great content. So if you can get down there, it's absolutely at no cost. All you have to do to start streaming is go to NBCsports.com/free. That's NBCsports.com/free. And there's some great content there on the NBC Sports Gold app. Now, let's bring things up to date, Robbie Mustoe, and the Premier League. And at this stage, there's no major announcements on if and even when the Premier League season is going to resume. We've been told there's no date. They are looking for play to resume when it's safe and healthy. In some respects, the virus is going to dictate that on the speed of the curve and how much we hear it flattens out. I think the expectations, Rob, with maybe where we are in terms of the speed of the virus and the time of getting players back fit, we're sort of looking at June maybe for a start, I think would be something that the Premier League would like to do. But again, it's in the hands of the virus more than the hands of the Premier League officials.
Yeah, I think it was said just a few days ago that when it's safe and appropriate to do so, they'll start the league again. There's no date. They realise it's not going to be, the beginning of June is still optimistic. Who knows? We can't really speculate, Robert, when it's going to happen. We just fingers crossed that curve flattens down and the National Health Service in the UK can get on top of any new cases. I think then when they're in control, that's when they might start to think about trying to get involved. I mean, it's interesting, Rob, you look at the news from Germany and Spain. Yeah. Germany, Bayern Munich and the German sides are starting to go back training in small groups. Yeah. And Spain is also, talking about potential returns. So it's kind of, it's nice to see that because, particularly Spain got hit, is getting hit really bad with it. That there is, some thought of, maybe it's peaked in those particular countries, but we'll see. I mean, we just have to wait and see, Rob. We just got to be patient. There's more important things, as you said many times, Rob, than starting the season. But as yet, we're still looking at maybe sometime in the summer. We'll see.
One announcement has come out, Rob, and it's to do with the NHS and the players. And I know the players were called out a little bit by certain parts of the government, the Public Health Secretary, saying that Premier League footballers should be doing more. And they were doing more. In the background, there was conversations. We were led to believe Jordan Henderson was leading those conversations, talking to other Premier League captains and seeing what they could do collectively. They've come up with a Players Together initiative, which is a number of players across the Premier League have created their own collective initiative where they partnered with the National Health charities. And so I think what, Rob, the point that the players wanted to make was they understand their communities. They are part of those communities. They've either come from there, their parents live there, their friends live there. They had a responsibility. They understood the moral kind of position they're in, but they just wanted to be sure of what money they put together, where it was going to be first and used. And I think the conversations have gone on. We've now got this initiative set up. It seems to be working fine. Both sides are very happy with it. And I think slight embarrassment for the government. We kind of, I thought, were a little bit out of order trying to put it on the Premier League players. And the players have come out, and this initiative looks to be a great way of addressing an issue and trying to help with a big problem.
Yeah, you know what? I think they've done a great job, the players, because it's easy, isn't it, to say, listen, you lot earn good money. We should agree you know, just for the Premier League sides, lower leagues is different. A 30% pay cut. There you go. We're going to help everybody else. But it's actually the PFA, Rob. They said, hang on a minute.
The union,
Yeah, the union, the players' union in the UK said, well, hang on a minute. If you cut their wages that amount, that's a lot of tax money that isn't going to go to the government that's going to then fund NHS going forward. So, like, there was that argument. But I like what they've done right now. I mean, some players, Rob, that some of that money will get allocated to players' families in different countries because all the Premier League players are not all English. They've got issues in their own countries. So I think it's a really smart way of players donating money to a central fund, and then it goes directly to where they want it to go. So I think it's the best course that the players have figured out themselves, and well done, because you know it isn't just footballers, Rob, that earn big money in countries, and yet this targeting of the English players was very, very harsh. And you know, just final thing on this, Rob, for me is for particularly for our American viewers and listeners. The game in England is so blimmin' dominant, Rob, isn't it? It's so dominant. There's no other. It's not like America. We've got different sports.
It's the NFL, isn't it? It's the NFL, Rob, basically.
Yeah, and then there's nothing else, and there's nothing else in the country. So the focus is really on those players to do something that's sometimes a little unfair. We've been players. We know what players are like, and you're right. They come from communities. They are helping communities. Premier League clubs donate a lot of money. The Premier League has donated a lot of money, or released a lot of money to the lower teams to get them, you know, to try and help them through this difficult period. So, you know, fair play to the players and the Premier League. They're doing their very best to help out.
Yeah, football's doing its bit, Rob. We're going to start our podcast this week. Let's get down to some football. We haven't spoken about for a little while. And it's kind of a new segment to the podcast, State of the Premier League. And what we're going to do, Rob, is each week is look at a couple of clubs in tandem. So we're going to start at the top of the league. We're going to look at Liverpool and Manchester City. And over the course of the weeks, while we're still waiting for play to resume, we'll pick off each two teams and we'll talk about the state of them, where they are now, where they were when things finished, where they might be in the future. Just a nice way of looking at each club and having a foresight of what might be coming down the road. So we're going to put on our kind of directors of football hat on, as if we were in charge, what we're looking at, what we're happy with, what we might change, what might be the next things over the next coming years. How do we leave some legacies? We're talking about Liverpool and Manchester City, dominance in football over the last couple of years. Are they ready to leave some legacies? So where do we start? Let's start the conversation, Rob, with Liverpool. They sit top of the table, 25 points clear as things stand. If we do get back to playing the games in whatever form that is, should we still not forget that they could be record-breaking Premier League winners? I know it'll be a very different Premier League title that's ever been won before with the break and whatever, but the amount of points they could get, Rob, could break the record.
Yeah, they could, and that's the only thing they're going for now. They crashed out of the Champions League, Rob, which it was right around this virus really hitting, and we didn't really get a chance to talk about it. A difficult night at Anfield, a night I thought they played blimmin' well. I thought they were fantastic. Unfortunately for them, Adrian, the goalkeeper, made a big error, and that was it, really. But I'll tell you, I mean, they were fantastic that night, but that's just the way it goes. So they're out of that. It is the Premier League, Rob, you're right. They're on for an amazing season when we get back to play. But I guess some people out there might say, well, hang on a minute. If you look at the recent few weeks of Liverpool, it doesn't look so great. I think it's 4 losses in the last 6 in all competitions for them, or whatever stat you've got there, that they've had a bit of a struggle. I guess they'll take a deep breath in this break and try and come back stronger going forward now. But absolutely right. I mean, what they could do this year on the back of Man City's recent achievements, it's remarkable, Rob, that these two have been so great. And as we go down the league and we talk about the state of all the clubs, these two are in great shape. We'll get onto the squad, Rob, in a little while. Just one thing at Liverpool, Rob, I want to ask you about. It's the decision of Liverpool Football Club, maybe a week ago or so now, to furlough the non-playing staff. Basically, there's a government scheme in the UK where you can kind of lay off or temporarily lay off part of your staff, and 80% of their wages is paid by the government. And a few clubs have done it. Newcastle have done it. I think Spurs have done it. There's Southampton have done it. But Liverpool making so much money, I think it was £42 million they made last year, and being in such a great position, were criticised, were hammered a little bit in the UK of, wow, you need to do this? Can't you look after those non-playing staff that are so important? The criticism was so bad, Rob. I think it was 2 days later, the club reversed that decision and said, you know what, you're right. We're wrong here. We're going to reverse that decision. Now, my question to you, Rob, is how do you feel about that? Was it shame on Liverpool to start with for doing it? Yeah. Or was it fair play to the club? They've listened to fans, which they've done before, by the way, and they've referred to the decision. Or which way would you go on that?
I'm going 50-50 on both, Rob. It's an own goal in some respect. I was surprised for a club that really understands the temperature of its team, of its community, of the city, of what that football club means. It was a really bad error in making a statement. But in fairness to them, they were big enough, they were flexible enough, and they understood the reasons. Listen, the criticism that came wasn't just by other fans and other people. It was their own fans who were saying, oh, we're Liverpool.
And former players and stuff.
Yeah, we're better than this. The teams that had furloughed before, you look at Mike Ashley with Newcastle, not got a great reputation, somebody who loves his football club. Daniel Levy, got a reputation, is always trying to save a buck where he can. Liverpool Football Club would not sit in that category. Liverpool Football Club is the heart and soul of the city of Merseyside, along with Everton. And so, it was a big mistake, but I was pleased. 2 days later, they certainly got a feeling of the temperature. They made a big decision. The second thing I just want to add to this, Rob, and I'm going to excuse one person, and I felt it was important to do so. Jurgen Klopp, by the way, has been magnificent through this time. Absolutely magnificent. A leader of men in his football and what he's done in terms of getting Liverpool to this stage. But in terms of his humanity, in terms of talking about what actually a title means to we hearing hundreds and thousands of people around the world losing their life to this virus, when he was coming out and saying the things he was about, we got football secondary, he's just a good individual, Rob. He's a good man, and he deserves a little bit of credit. I know Liverpool generally got some criticism over the piece, but Jurgen Klopp again comes out of it with flying colours for me as a man who I would want leading my football club, just seems to understand things. And when he first came to the club, remember in contrast to Mourinho saying he was a special one, he said, I'm the normal one. And there's something normal about him that makes him...
It's not really normal, but it is normal, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's a spectacular human being, but he is kind of normal.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll tell you what, mate, why don't we be Jurgen Klopp now? I think we should, at this point, at this stage of the season and with this break, why don't we go through the squad to see what they've got now, what might happen in the next window, whenever the heck that's going to be, by the way, or whatever, however long it's going to be. Again, we're starting with the two top teams, Liverpool and Man City. There isn't a great deal of work to be done. And I would say this before we go through the squad, Rob, I don't want this to be well, he's not good enough. They should get another right back. They need another goalkeeper. They need another midfield player. They should get, let's be real. Right, Rob? Let's be real. Sure. They'll probably look to bring in 2 or 3 or 4 players max. They'll try and get rid of a couple. So let's try and be realistic and say, well, you know what I mean. It's just so.
Okay.
Let's start with the goalkeeper situation. Alisson, I don't know. I'm sure you agree. Brilliant.
No problem.
Brilliant goalkeeper. 27 years of age. He made a couple of little mistakes at the start where Jurgen Klopp had to kind of remind him.
With these speaking things, but absolutely no problem, Rob, with the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Might look at number 2. Might look at your number 2.
Might look at number 2. If you look at their squad right now, and I'm looking at the Liverpool squad here as if they've listed on their website. I mean, Adrian, he's the man right now. But other than that, you've got an older guy, Logan, and Kellier. The young goalkeeper,
young kid, isn't he?
20 or something.
Young kid, yeah.
It's whether Jurgen Klopp, I guess us now, it's whether us being real and not wanting to blow up the squad, of course, are okay with Adrian being the number 2. And I looking at other parts of the team, I think I'm all right with him. I think I'm all right with him. I know he made some mistakes, but Alisson's going to be the main man, Rob, and he's a brilliant goalkeeper. They are, a stupid rush of blood or something, or an injury, of course, that we did see this season, Adrian. But if I'm being careful with my squad and my funds and my transfers, I think there's other bits in the team that I might want to try and change before looking at different goalies. That's just my take.
Yeah, the only thing I would say, Rob, and I don't disagree with you on that, is that when a goalkeeper just starts to lose a little bit of the confidence of his teammates and the players around him, it can be deadly. So, we know Alisson's going to play the majority of the games. But the moment that he comes in and doesn't do so well and makes a mistake and the back four ain't sure and the opposition think, okay, it's not Alisson at the moment, we got a chance today, that thing just worries me. I think we go back to the Karius and Mignolet days when you're just not sure. I think Liverpool could be in a position where they could go and find, and I'm not sure who that player is, I'll get my scouts working on, young goalkeeper, might be in the Championship, good pedigree.
Isn't that risky, Rob? Isn't that risky? You're going to put a young goalkeeper in there?
I'm going to build one. I'm going to find one. Who's played some football, or a good number two, who's a keeper who might be in a team, I don't know, that is going down, or he's not a number one somewhere else. There's something, just lost a little bit in that Adrian, and I just feel that, he could be playing a cup semi-final or a League Cup game and let you down, and silverware's important, Rob. We've got no time for those kind of things.
Yeah, and it's also, before we move on to defenders, it's it's hard to get that right person, Rob, that's okay to be number two and be good enough to come in and do a good job. So that's why you often get experienced goalkeepers. Actually, Man City will talk about the same thing. Older guys that may be more comfortable being a number two at a great club.
Could Joe Hart, let's say, come and do it? That type, an older player who's not number one somewhere, he's fighting for his spot. Could somebody like a Joe Hart come and just bring something a little different? Maybe?
Is he better than Adrian?
It's a good shout. I think best, yeah. Playing motivated, maybe in that dressing room. I might say,
Yeah. Okay. Right, defenders, Robbie Earle.
Yes.
Now, not bad, mate. Let's be honest about it. Two brilliant fullbacks in Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. We know all about Van Dijk. I think Joe Gomez, what is he, 23 or something? Yeah. It looks the part. Matic's 28, Rob. So I think, he'll play plenty of minutes. Lovren's 30. They've got a couple of young players who are to come in. Nathaniel Klein could come in to right back. Now there is some talk at Liverpool, and when you look online and stuff, that he could be a player that goes. I'd be surprised. I know he's had his injury issues, and he's nowhere near as good as Trent, but he's a good, steady, good defensive right back to keep that. Left back, Robbie Earle, left back at Liverpool, in terms of cover, that might be a spot that they might try and find somebody.
Just pulling up my Liverpool team here, squad here, so I'm with you. Yeah, I just wanted to do that, so I'm there. Yeah, okay. Andrew Robertson. Millie gives you cover. My old mate James Milner gives me the kind of...
it does. It gives you a little bit, if you're
security
careful about who...
will come in the team and won't let me down. I know what you mean, like maybe one, but I'm not forcing it. Remember these couple of kids in the played in the academy, played in the League Cup this time around, who've come in and done quite well. So not over worried there. Not over worried.
It's a brilliant. It's a back four. That, I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joe Gomez, with their age, are going to get better. Andy Robertson's 26, Rob. He's right in the sweet spot. He's very rarely injured. You might be right. James Milner's done it. With Robertson's record, and you have to look at the season after season, Robertson, he's played a ton of games every season. So I think defensively, they're in blimmin' good shape. Okay. Midfield. And again, I look at the midfield squad, Rob, and I see, God, some good balance there, some good blend, some good options.
More time for Naby Keita. Is Naby Keita gonna step up now a little bit?
I think he's got the ability to do that. I mean, I think what you might, or some might, say about Liverpool's midfield, it's a little bit similar with Henderson, Wijnaldum, and Milner. And
Lallana may probably go, might he? We thought that Lallana might go to get first team football somewhere.
So he's the one. So he's one deal I want to look at. I want to look at moving Adam Lallana on.
Not a lot of money. You might get a lot of money for him now.
I know, but that's where I'm going to spend some money, Rob. I'm looking for a different type of midfield player. Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita are attack-minded, you know, skillful but direct, get in the box types. We know they've got the hard-working types. I do like a technical, like a Lallana, like an updated role that he can play in a team. That's what I'd be looking to buy. A footballer, Liverpool in the middle of the park. That's what I'm looking at.
Jackie Grealish.
On it.
Let me throw you Jackie Grealish.
No, not for Liverpool. Not hard working enough. Not a team player enough.
So James Maddison. I'm trying to go targets that you could go with at work.
Jurgen Klopp's going to want honest, hard work with talent, and is coachable. Yeah. So James Maddison is a good shout. I mean, I want more of a deeper playmaker, Rob. You know,
I know you want the Xabi Alonso, don't you?
Yes,
really, that guy, the one who can see the pass and deliver it from. Yeah. More than Fabinho, more than Jordan Henderson,
more than Milner, more than Naby Keita. You know, those guys. So that's what I think in the midfield. Other than that, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita. There's some great options there.
In chemistry, though, does that fit for Liverpool? Because that guy's still got to be a ratter and a hunter and win the ball. Because that comes from the three. You lose a little bit of that. You take a bit of that energy out. Balance goes a bit. Yeah,
absolutely. That is a great point. And that's why you see this midfield the way it is, Rob, because those front three players that don't really want to come back and do too much help, those front three in the middle of the park, they'll go across both sides of the field to do the work. And you are right. But I want this obviously, I'm telling my scouts, like, you're going to find me a playmaker, but he's got to be able to work as well. He's got to be a team guy and a great engine on him, great attitude, because that's what Klopp wants. And again, this squad is brilliant. But if there's one spot in the team in the midfield, that's what I'm going to try and get.
Let's move it forward then. You've got that spot. The front three, we know that the main three, Mane, Salah, Firmino. Beyond those, you've got Minamino's come in now. You've got Divock Origi, who comes in and never lets the team down. But what's happening there for you, Rob? Are you okay with what you've got? Would you like a change? Would you want to bring one in that adds to the mix?
Let me start with this. Mo Salah. Now, this is. I'm going to throw a rumor at you, right? I'm going to throw a transfer rumor at you. A friend of mine, or I'm going to say it was, and maybe this is a little bit irresponsible from my part, and it's very speculative, but I'm going to say it all the same. A friend of mine was in Madrid, Robbie Earle. Last year's, I think mid-season, it was in Madrid. Or was it the summer? Anyway, he's in Madrid. He's in a restaurant. Mo Salah's in there.
Ooh,
and Mo Salah's agent was in there. And my buddy said he got a bit busy, and he chatting to the agent of Mo Salah, and the conversation went, well, we're here. We're thinking maybe Real Madrid could be a possibility for next season.
Wow. That
Mo Salah.
Wow. You heard it here.
Would look.
A friend said.
So of course, don't take it too seriously, everybody. No, but my buddy was there. I've had a few too many glasses of red. That nice red with Spanish wine.
It's an interesting scenario.
And to be fair, I have heard that.
Of football, thinking it through, would you consider even? I mean, it's 20 plus goals a season, if not 30 when he's right. Are you okay with that?
Again, if the player comes to us, the club, or anybody within the club to say, you know what, I'd love a new challenge. You know, I've really enjoyed my time here. We've won the Champions League. We've won the Premier League. Let me go on to Real Madrid. Of course, I would demand a high fee, and I'd get on the phone to Borussia Dortmund. Jadon Sancho, Robbie Earle, is that young, hungry, goal-scoring wide player that's doing a great job right now. He's 20 years of age. He's got 14 goals in 23 so far this season. And there's talk about him going to Man United and other clubs. I know that.
They're all in.
But to agree to let Mo Salah go, you'd want to be really confident that you can put in another Dortmund player that, you know, that Klopp of course knows that club really well. Jadon Sancho would be a brilliant addition on that right-hand side if Mo Salah wants to go, and even if this is not a load of garbage I've just been talking about Real Madrid, that will be somebody, again, I would look to do a deal if that was the case.
Okay, two things I want to pick up on your point, and it brings up two very good points. Over the years, at Manchester United, when they were great under Sir Alex, and I'm talking the great Man United teams, he mixed things up every now and then, Robbie. He changed the chemistry, he let some players go.
He did.
And I think of front players, and we were doing a classic game a while ago that our viewers will get to see. You know, Cole in York, and then he brought in like Sheringham and Solskjaer. And then there was the likes of, you know, Berbatov that came in. And
Cantona before that,
And Cantona. And he's always been able to, at the times, Rob, change the chemistry, not let things get stale, kick people on the toes. Does moving one of those on, and maybe Salah's the one, does that just refreshing things again? You bring in a Sancho who's new, or make something happen, or Timo Werner, which is being linked to the football club, saying his name, you know, good, young, athletic. We've seen him in European football, can play across the three spots. Does that just bring an element of something new and dynamic back to the club rather than, you know, here we go again?
Yeah, I think it's a great point, Rob. It's a great point. And teams have done it over and over. Whichever club you want to talk about, Rob, that stayed at the top of the Premier League, they have changed their team and they've freshened it up. And I think it's a great shout, particularly on the back of a Champions League win and a Premier League title. You know, unfortunately, mate, we haven't been there in squads that have won that sort of thing. But you have heard that certain players get a little bit, you know, we've kind of done it now a little bit, and you make a good point. Now, if you were going to do that, and it wasn't going to be Mo Salah. By the way, Sadio Mane for me is a lock. I'm not letting him go. He's a diamond. He's a diamond.
He's become the guy, really.
The centre forward position, Robbie Earle, Firmino, Origi. I think Shaqiri might go. He's another one with Lallana that might go. So you might have a little bit of money there. Are you okay with your front liner? So go on, then.
I'm okay with Bobby. I've got something for you on the other side.
Come on, then.
I'm holding. I'm going to hold this card. But Bobby's the one, mate. When he's dropping it with that flexibility, as long as those things on the outside are going well, right? Bobby still works for me.
Origi as a backup, or you got somebody else in mind?
Yeah, I've got one more for you. Leroy Sané. You got Man City. I'm Jurgen Klopp.
They ain't doing that.
I put my big arms around him and I say, hey, come with me. Come with what we're doing. He's not going to get the same. He doesn't get the same love from Pep that he will get from Klopp. On his day, Rob, we talked about, could be up there with some of them.
Yeah.
I don't know how the injury is, but if he wants to leave City and City aren't happy and his contract's running out and City's got to go, listen, Sterling went from Liverpool to Man City. Why can't Liverpool, as champions and European champions, go Leroy Sané? In you come, kid. Just chucking it out there. Just
listen.
Think about it.
As a player, you know, there's no bigger fan.
Yeah.
You're not sure happen. The club wouldn't let it happen, Rob. City aren't going to.
They might not have a choice, Rob. If he lets his
what's he got? Another year? He's got another year.
One more year, hasn't he? So they've got to do something now. We'll let him run out, and then he goes on a free anyway.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I just put him out there as something that gives him a different option, and might be a little one like, you know, Liverpool want to show that they're the top dogs. You get the love from Klopp, and I think in that environment, Rob, we'd see the best of him. I think we've seen players go there, Oxlade-Chamberlains and Lallana's and Firmino and Mane's. Look how they've progressed working under Jurgen Klopp.
So that's where you make your big move, Rob, is it? Is that? I mean,
I love Sancho. I think he would probably be number one. Timo Werner's, if we're talking more Bobby, I think, than anybody else. Leroy Sané would be my second choice.
Timo Werner, Rob, would you, if they got rid of Shaqiri, they're probably going to have to stay with Divock Origi. Can they afford to bring in a Timo Werner if nobody leaves that front line?
It's tough because they're not going to play any football. You almost have to let Origi go.
Well, maybe more rotation, Rob. I mean, the Liverpool front three seem to play every blooming game, don't they? We've talked about that before.
In all competitions. And Werner may come in and be happy not to be starting every week. But I'm sure he's going to want some kind of clarification of where his role is, how many games he's expecting to play. But that's what the big teams do. They have that squad, and the manager has to deal with it, as Jurgen Klopp has done generally in the past.
Yeah, so I mean, there you go. I mean, that's going through the Liverpool squad, and that just shows you, number one, what a great squad it is, Rob.
Yeah.
But also, number two, it's got to be really difficult for Liverpool to find players to make this 11 better without messing up that kind of chemistry and the philosophy of Klopp and this Liverpool team.
Well, the thing is, Rob, and as champions, which hopefully they'll get in a few games when we start back, and as European champions that they are now, the bar's been raised. Everything you buy now is at another level. They don't just need filler, what we used to call, he comes in the squad, he'll fit in.
Yeah.
We're talking about players who come in at another level. That's what United had to do in the past, and Arsenal had to do, and Chelsea had to do. Liverpool haven't had to do that so much in the past, apart from the last few years, where they've been working their way to the top. So a whole different set of circumstances with which Liverpool signed players, and a whole different set of quality that the players have to be.
But I'll tell you what, it's great, isn't it? It's been great watching them. It's been great watching Jurgen Klopp over the last 4 or 5 years, Rob, steadily build this team into what it is right now. And every single season, this team has got better. And it has. Just like it's just going to be fascinating to see the next bunch of transfers. Can he make this team better again? Yeah. I mean,
that's
really,
another
really
challenge,
difficult.
isn't it? That's the next test. That's what Sir Alex was the governor at. He brought players in, and they moved on again and continued to win.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move it down to the team in second place, Manchester City. I think the first thing we've got to say, Robin, we've got to pass our commiserations to Pep Guardiola, who most of our viewers and listeners will have heard that his mother passed away aged 82 after contracting the COVID-19 virus. Condolences to Pep and all his family. I'm sure he's getting the support he would want from his players and the football club at the moment. Just goes to show, Rob, that this virus, it doesn't matter whether you're rich and famous or where you come from or your background, it affects us all in different communities, in different workplaces, in different families. And real sad moment when we heard that Pep, who obviously was probably still in the UK at the time. I don't know if he was close to his mother, but wasn't able to be around when his mother passed away. Yeah,
I mean, it's the nature of doing what we used to do and what he does now, Rob. I mean, he's in a different country.
Yeah.
And I know that we worry about our own parents back in England with this thing. And it's just a real life flipping example of you never know where it's going to pop up and how excruciating it is when you can't be close, when you can't be nearby. So, yeah, absolutely. Feel that. Condolences to Guardiola's family. But, life goes on and the club goes on. And we want to now take a look at Man City, Rob. And again, a little bit like Liverpool, it's stacked with brilliant players.
Yeah.
But let's go through each department and kind of see what they've got and what they might need in the future. Again, let's start with the goalkeepers. It's pretty good, Rob, isn't it? It's pretty good. I mean, same situation.
Yeah, Edison's, across the board, we start with a goalkeeper. He's up there, top 3 goalkeepers in the league. He's had the odd day when he's made a mistake, as most goalkeepers will, but I don't think we've got any arguments with him, with his kicking ability, with his handling, with his position. He's struck his position and presence with that defence. Claudio Bravo is number 2, steady enough. Don't feel you need to make a huge change on that one.
He's 36, and I'm with you. He's a real pro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 36 for goalkeepers. It isn't. I mean, it's getting there, but it's not past there. And his situation right now, if he seems happy enough to be number 2 at that club, I have no problem. I have no need as a director of football for this team to want to do too many changes to the goalkeeping situation. Scott Carson's another experienced goalkeeper that's there as well. Again, you've got the situation where number 2s at big clubs with great goalkeepers, they've got to be a certain type to be happy with that. And
the mentality in that.
Yeah, I'm sure Scott Carson's more happy than Claudio Bravo, who's had a brilliant career. Claudio Bravo, what he's done in the game nationally and for his club teams. But at the moment, it seems that that's a very easy department. A not easy department, Robbie Earle, and where we're probably going to spend some time is in the defence of Manchester City.
Yes, sir.
You start, because there's too much to go through.
Let's start at fullbacks. We talk to Liverpool, you go Alexander-Arnold, you go Andrew Robertson, done deal. If I've got Milner and people to fill in, absolutely fine. Let's talk about Manchester City. Kyle Walker, Benjamin Mendy, Cancelo, Zinchenko. Between the four of those, how many are you happy with?
I actually like Cancelo. I don't know why. I would expect him to play more than he has. Between Kyle Walker and Joe Cancelo at right back, that's blimmin' good, isn't it? I mean, you've got pace if you want a game where you want pace to get you out of trouble, or you want to sprint, you want to get behind defenders, Kyle Walker can do it. If it's a game where it's more of a technical build-up, or you want footballers out there, which Pep does a lot of the time, Joe Cancelo is a really nice footballer. Now, there has been talk about Cancelo not being happy, but he might be moving the football club. Again, we don't know. We're not working for the club. We don't know how happy any individuals are. But between Kyle Walker and Cancelo right back, I mean, that's good.
Yeah. So
left back.
Talk to me about left back.
Left back's a problem. Angelino, Robbie Earle, you didn't talk about him. He's on loan at RB Leipzig. He's in Leipzig right now on loan, and he's playing really well, well. So I would want him to come back and play. I want to see what he's really like. Now I know he had a few games, Rob, and it wasn't a long run in the side. But what he's doing at RB Leipzig and what he's learning and the experience he's gaining, surely he's going to be in the picture for left back.
It's never easy to do, though, Rob, is it? When you leave the club because things weren't going great for you. You go away and play well on the other side, and then you have to come back and again, this is me talking from past experiences, players I've played with and things. Could it also be personality with him? Does he come back and not feel like he's quite the guy amongst big personalities, big egos? So we've seen some players, Rob, who are like that. We've seen some players who in training are brilliant. Put them on a match day, they go to pieces. Or certain people in training can be inhibited by just personalities. Certainly at Wimbledon, we had players. If John Passion used to shout at some players, they pretend they're injured and want to go in.
Yeah, and the only thing I'd say about Angelino, I take your point, and for more experienced players that weren't really wanted and then pushed out on loan, I'm not sure there is a way back. But he's 22, Rob. He's 22, I think he is.
Okay, it's a good point. Yeah.
So he's young enough to come back and say, you know what, Pep, I loved it. I think I've improved as a player. I want to go for it again. Benjamin Mendy's doing nothing. No. And I know he's had injury issues. I understand that. And it's not been easy for him. And players, I'm sure he's working his very best to get fit and to stay fit. But he hasn't been great. And I know they spent a lot of money on him. And maybe Pep's a big fan with what he can deliver in terms of his crosses.
I think the first injury put him back. The first injury, the first knee. Before that, he was looking the part, to be honest. He was flying up and down that like a crazy man.
So maybe more
left back spot. And it's almost as though if I could take a bit of Mendy, a bit of Zinchenko, and a bit of Alanino and put them together, I'd have the player.
But it's been a few years now, Rob, isn't it? Left back's not been right. Zinchenko's, for a period did a really good job, but he's not really a left back. It's just whether Pep's going to focus on this or whether he's going to say, you know what, I think Angelino and Benjamin Mendy are going to come back, and between them, they're going to, and I'm kind of okay with that, but a bit worried about it. It's just Pep's focus. It isn't often.
The thing is, in his system, fullbacks become really important, don't they? Because they're going to get a lot of ball and they're going to start things off and have to make good decisions on the football to start them off. If those decisions are poor, they don't keep good possession, which Kyle Walker at times can be. Things don't flow as well as they should.
Are you changing? Are you buying a left back then?
I'm looking at left back. I'm saying Chilwell. I like Ben Chilwell. I know he's going to cost me, but he's important. It's a piece that we need. I think I'd go and spend the money. I know they've got a couple of other players who might be able to fill in. I think I'd go and spend the money like I did with Walker. Spent, was it 50 on Walker? I think I'd go and spend similar money and bring Chilwell in.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick in this position. Yeah, it's a risk. It's a risk, and I just think Angelino.
Yeah.
I know the Premier League is a different kettle of fish to the Bundesliga. At 22, I think he can grow. I think there's going to be other players, young players coming into the team. We're going to talk about midfield and Phil Foden. Yeah. I'm just going to stick, Rob. Where I'm not sticking is centre back. Centre back. Losing Vincent Kompany. I'm sticking at left back.
Yeah.
I'm sticking at.
Yeah.
I'm just going on to centre backs now.
No, and I want to know who you want out.
Oh, wow. How about all of them?
Who do you want in?
Apart from. Right. So Otamendi, no, not good enough now to be part of a back line that doesn't get much protection. I know he's aggressive, and I know that Pep's admired the way that he's brave to get on the ball. He's not good on the ball. He would leave the football club for me. Emerick Laporte, of course, is top class,
Yeah.
and he's the only defender there that I'm bothered about keeping. John Stones had too many opportunities for me, Rob. I don't see a strong mentality. I still see a player that makes mistakes. I still see a player that hasn't learned from his mistakes, and he's confident enough to take his game forward, even though he's got some brilliant tools and assets. I don't see him bringing it all together for his manager, Pep Guardiola, at Manchester City. So I'm looking to change as many centre-backs as I can get out.
Eric Garcia is a young one, isn't he?
Yeah, and he looks good, by the way, but he's 19.
Yeah.
You know, so the future, yeah, he's
What
not ready yet.
At? Two
centre-backs.
Centre-backs.
Yeah.
See, I think I can take... Otamendi can be my backup. I think he can be a backup centre-back for me.
Yeah. What are you doing with John Stones?
John Stones. John Stones, the new Phil Jones, is going away from the football club. And I've said it from time, Rob. All the tools don't mean all the player. All the tools are there. He's in terms of his football understanding, in terms of his football presence, in terms of his growth, he should be starting to hit his sweet spot. He should be the new Vincent Kompany. He should be the captain of that football club. He's nowhere near. He's frightened of his own shadow at times. He fell over the other week, Rob, when no one was near him, running back towards his own goal. I mean, for his own sake, he needs to go. Talk I hear of Arsenal, actually, and maybe Arteta wanting to take him, which might not be a bad place, and you know he could go and play and get a fresh start and maybe establish himself. But in terms of City, knowing what they need week in, week out, as a centre back, I would say no. Now, did a little research because I know you like your data and fact, and there's this guy, Pau Torres, I believe, who's 22 years of age, plays for Villarreal. Was on loan at Malaga last season, so I went online as you do, have a little look at him.
International scouting Earle.
3, left foot, can intercept well, reads the game well. He looks like the build of Nemanja Matic, but a bit more athletic, and he can play from the back. Good centre back. I'm hearing that Pep's liking him, and that the big rumours are a friend said taking English lessons. Robbie Mustoe. Pau Torres, Pautores.
I will do some research on that.
The left-sided centre-back would be perfect.
Okay, well, that's Laporte's position. So you've got two lefties and centre-backs.
Okay, you can balance it off.
Samuel Umtiti, Barcelona, not really been playing under the previous manager. There's been rumours that he might be up for a City move and that he's good enough on the deck to handle the play and a big, strong defender. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't... There's a lot of defenders out there, Rob, and it's difficult to pin down.
Napoli?
Barcelona.
Yeah.
And he's not been playing, so he's a little bit subject to requirements.
Yeah, he's been sort of talked about for a little bit, hasn't he? Not being maybe available, may not. United was talking of him at one time.
But whoever it is, are we agreed that it's two? Well, you're saying I'm saying two centre backs in that back line.
Get away with one top class if he comes in and make like the Virgil van Dijk came in and changed the whole mentality of a back four. One top class might be able to do that. Yeah,
so you're going for one centre back and one left back. I'm going for two centre backs.
Yeah,
that's our difference there. Okay, so going to midfield, Robbie. Now we know that David Silva, who has been a Premier League legend, by the way, and one of the best midfield players the league's ever seen, is going to retire or leave Man City at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Is it as simple as, and I'm thinking it might be, Phil Foden, 19 years of age, just started to play a few more minutes under Pep for City.
Yeah.
I think I want to see him, Rob. I want to see him in a midfield that's got lots of other options and different experiences, and Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva and Gundogan and who's the midfield? Fernandinho, Rodri. I think there's enough there, Rob, that I can save some money in midfield. I think that midfield is still great. and I'm putting my trust in Phil Foden to be a player that they don't need to spend some money.
It's a big word, the trust. And so if I'm director of football, Robbie Mustoe, if I'm an English director of football, I think I want to chuck Phil Foden in. I don't know enough, but I want to throw him in.
Why English? What do you mean? Why?
Let me finish my point. So because I feel like there'll be a bit more affinity, I think there'll be a feel like he's done his time, he's come through the academy. If I'm a director of football and I'm Dutch, and I've been brought into the football club, and I might think, Phil Foden, still not sure, 19. I know in Holland I've got a 21-year-old at Ajax or somewhere who I know can think it. All I'm saying is there's still a doubt about Phil Foden, and we've got to find out. Now,
well, it's doubt because you haven't played. You haven't played enough in midfield.
So it's the time. So basically, now, with Silva gone, we really need to find out Phil Foden should play. In central midfield, on that left or right-hand side, with one player behind him. Not wide right, where we saw him the other week, he didn't play well. In his best position, 19 years old, we hear all these things. We hear Pep say he's one of the best players he'd ever worked with. Now show us. Because if we don't find out now, Rob, is he the player? Is he that player that we thought he was?
You've got to give him this season to do that. And I would do that. And I think Pep wants to do that. Because there's other players there. Bernardo Silva can drop in there. There's different, Gundogan's a very good, reliable player. If you have a season with him trying it, Rob, and he doesn't quite offer as much as others might, then you might have to spend the big money and bring somebody else in. But I want to see a year where he's allowed to play.
The point I was making, and it wasn't anything to do with Phil Foden, because if it was me, I would play him. All I'm saying is, remember when Jack Wilshere first come out and played, I think, against Barcelona, and Pep went, I've got 10 of them in Spain. I just think that maybe as English supporters playing in England, knowing Phil Foden, we want to see him go on. Other people might look at him and go, yeah, not as special. Now, Pep's going to lead that, and Pep's works with him every day, and we believe he's grooming him for this role. As you say, it might be a season where 6-7 games in, out for a rest, or doesn't play cup or other games, but he's got to get 20-25 games under his belt this season, however, in whatever competition drop, to start to show who he is and what he is. If it isn't happening at 19-20, we've got to start asking questions.
Yeah, it really is the season. Next season, whenever it's going to start, is going to be the time we find out. And I would be disappointed if Manchester City went out and spent another 50, 60, 70, 80 million on another midfield player before giving this guy a chance in the midfield. And I'm desperate to see it. And again, there's other options. If the season goes and he can't, he's starting to struggle after a dozen games, you can make good switches with good players and still get, no drop off or maintain the level. So I'm not touching the midfield.
Just on that one, and you made a good point about disappointment. I'll be a bit disappointed in Pep as well, because Pep talked him up, and he's almost like, come on then now. Yeah. You've got the trust in you. You talk about trust and confidence. You're telling us all these things. Now you've got to give him the trust and let him go on and start dominating games, because we've seen bits of it in cameos. Now we've got to see on a regular basis, week in, week out. And
anything else in midfield, Rob, that you worry about? You've got Rodri now as a holding player that looks really, really good and will get better in that position. Again, you've got De Bruyne that's still in his prime.
No, there's nothing. I'm good with that, mate. I'm good with that. With Pep's drive and all that, I'm good with what we got.
So that takes on to the last segment of the team, section of the team, that front line, the wingers, the strikers, and I think there's discussions to have here, mate. There's conversations to have here. Do you want to start with the wide players or those two strikers? Let's start with the strikers, Rob.
Yeah.
Sergio Aguero, again, is banging in the goals, consistent.
Phenomenal.
He's 31 years of age now. Gabriel Jesus, a player that that I like. I'm excited about what he could do when he gets a run and when he's trusted as the main striker. Again, I'm happy with those two. I'll make some changes to the wide players, but those two, because I trust Jesus, and who doesn't love Aguero? I think that that's still good options. Now, whether I might look for a young striker, another young striker as a different sort of player, possibly. But I still like the current two strikers, Rob.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. And I'll tell you what I like, Rob. I like the age difference. I like the competition. I like They are slightly different personalities. And I think what's going to happen, football will eventually dictate, and results and form will dictate maybe the changing of the guard. And that may or may not be this season. It may be another season down the road. But eventually, I think Jesus it just happens at football club. We've been there where you've seen a young kid come close to the first team. He's training for a while, then he gets on the bench and he slowly plays a few games, and eventually he takes a spot and he's in and he becomes a man. I think that's going to happen. I just think it'll take its natural position at centre forward. And Jesus in time, we may be talking over the next 2-season period, will become the #1 striker of Manchester City. And Aguero should get the biggest send-off ever of a Manchester City player, because he's just delivered week in, week out goals for this football club since he's joined there.
We'll see. The next season, Rob, the next season will be, Aguero will be a year older. We'll have more evidence of Jesus is going to be that guy.
Yeah.
The following season.
Yeah.
It might be that City go, and by the way, I'm kind of assuming that this ban and stuff's not going to wreck the club, which of course we don't know. But they might go for a big time striker, Rob. If after one more season, Aguero starts to fade a little bit and Jesus is not consistent enough, then that might be the time where you say, come on then, all right, around the world, let's get some big time guy in. But I don't think this next window is going to be, for me, the time to break up that partnership.
And when we talk big time, we're talking Mbappe, Haaland, one of those type who comes in and just instantly makes you better. But I think Jesus will be given the chance, as you say. So that takes a little bit care of itself. Let's talk about the wide positions. So we've got Sterling, you've got Mahrez, possibly Bernardo Silva in those positions. Leo Sané, we talked about, may not be at the football club once things get back to normal. We talk about him moving back to Bayern or somewhere in football.
What do you think? Let's start with Raheem Sterling, Rob, because I think we and most people would agree he's a really important part of this club.
25 years of age, key age.
Is there there's been a little bit of talk, hasn't there? Raheem's talked, hasn't he, a little bit about
Real Madrid.
Liverpool as well. I saw a little bit about how he loved that club, and there was a little bit of paper talk, could he return?
I think it's all part of maybe the contract negotiations and his age just flexing his Is
he happy? Are we sure as a club that he's happy at Man City? Is it just posturing and trying to get...
He's one of those. I think he reminds me a little bit, and our older listeners, a bit like Andy Cole. If he's not smiling all the time, people think, oh, is he happy? I think he is happy. I think his football looks happy. Okay, he's maybe missed a couple of chances towards the end of while the season was running, but that happens to better players or as good a players as Raheem Sterling. I think Raheem Sterling, in some respects, gets judged slightly differently from everybody else. We're always looking for, is he happy? Oh, is he scoring? Oh, is he?
Yeah, I think finishing line.
He's becoming the #1 name on the team sheet. I think he's an important part of City going forward. He's 25 years of age, Rob, with all that he's done. Could go on to reach some magnificent accolades in English football. And I think he'll sign a long contract. I think he looks happy there. We've seen him giving messages out around the racism thing, the maturity of the player off the pitch thing. All that's been important to him as well. So I think Pep's certainly not stupid enough to allow Raheem Sterling to go. I think he's a fixture on that left-hand side. Yeah,
agreed. Brilliant player, and he's getting better as well. Now, other wide players, Riyad Mahrez, like him.
He was coming into a bit of form just as things were tailed off. Yeah,
looks more comfortable, Rob, doesn't he? Looks happier, more confident of being at the club and being coached by Pep. That I'm sure is very demanding. So I'm happy with him and him staying at the football club. So it comes down to Leroy Sané, Rob. Really, Leroy Sané. Now, I almost feel like I want to say that City, for me, and when I'm going to spend some money, is another wide player, is a goal-scoring wide player. Now, Mahrez can do it. I'm not sure we're going to get consistent big numbers from a wide player. Bernardo Silva's, again, he's not really that like a Liverpool
more goal than...
Now, Leroy Sané has a potential to be amazing at that. But this scenario, we don't know whether he's happy. We don't know how Pep feels about him. I love him to bits, and if I'm director of football right now, I'm trying to turn down the new contract. I want to keep him. I don't want to go into the transfer market, but it's a position that City might try and get somebody, given this guy's desire to leave or want more money. We know he's had injury issues. That's the difficult part of City's forwards is Leroy Sané and trying to figure out what's going to happen with him.
Yeah. You talk of Traore at Wolverhampton Wanderers. His name's I know he's not the right footballer, but his name got thrown out a little bit. Was one or two. There was somebody else. Was it Zaha? Would a Wilf Zaha fit the bill? No. For you? No.
Not at that level, Rob. Not a good decision maker that higher level, and Pep requires. Brilliant talent, Wilf Zaha, but I don't see him at City. I don't know. I mean, that's just one position of the team where I look at the squad and I like the players there, but do I think they might need a bigger goal scorer in a wide position? Sterling can do it from one side. That's something that I might look at. But Leroy Sané again is the key for me. And the longer it's gone on, it seems that a strong future at the club seems a little bit less of a possibility. But again, I'm a huge fan, and I want to figure that out. If he doesn't want to stay, he won't sign a new contract. Then I'm going to have to look to bring in somebody in the wide position, another young player probably.
I always feel with Sané as well, regardless of how he's playing, there is a little friction between him and Pep, and just something that just feels like they don't quite appreciate each other. And when that happens, it usually ends up in a parting of the ways. Before we wrap up on City, Rob, I've got two things for you. One, I just wanted to talk about the Champions League, and we don't know if that competition will continue. Obviously, they were through now to the quarter-finals. Would they be favourites if with what they've got now? Would that defence hold out enough against the other best teams in Europe to maybe land them a Champions League title, of the thing that the club and Pep's been craving?
Not for me, no. And I know that they're favourites, aren't they? Or joint favourites to go on and win it. I've said the same thing all season long, that this defence at the highest level is not going to be good enough. Now, we know the Champions League over two legs. You can have you can do a job on teams and you can have two great games, perfect games, and win. Yeah. So, of course, there's that. I just don't think it's going to happen. I look at other teams in it, Rob. I look at Bayern Munich being brilliant.
Yeah.
In the last round of games. I still think Barcelona, Napoli, PSG, Robbie Earle, Thomas Tuchel, the manager now, and the players that they've got there, they, for me, have got a great chance of winning the tournament. Atletico Madrid, you can't, Atletico Madrid, if they drew Man City managed to get through, Real Madrid, of course, there's another leg to go on that one, they could do a job on City. These other teams, Bayern Munich, I just don't see Man City winning it. I think there's some strong teams out there, great experienced players, some talented players, and with those front lines of all those clubs, maybe not Atletico Madrid's front line isn't as dynamic as a PSG's or a Barcelona's or a Bayern Munich's, but I still think there's going to be enough attacking talent out there to hurt City over two legs and knock them out.
See, I'm not so sure. I still think that City would be feared. I know defensively they can have an odd day, but if they can keep possession of the ball and be at their best away from home, not give up too much, I just think that they still have a chance for me. Certainly still could win the competition.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see if Champions League kicks off again. And
just one more thing, Rob, before we kind of close it down here. Just Pep and the manager at Man City, and whether just in terms of where he goes and longevity. We've talked about a lot of young players, Rob. Whether it's Phil Foden, Angelino, Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah.
Is there Leroy Sané, if he comes back, still a very young player? Is there another team there, Rob? Is there a different city, younger city, a new city that could grow into being a blimmin' good side? And Pep might be excited about staying to see some of these young players come through, or am I wrong?
There absolutely is another team there in base that would need additions, that would need filling out and expressing, but that's the kind of thing he's done in the past. A lot depends, Rob, on where his head is, where his heart is. Does he want to go through the dirty work, maybe a year or two of assembling another team, of getting some players out, some players who he's worked with for a while? And
he said he's staying, Robbie, through this band. He said he's staying through his contract.
Some of those big decisions have to be made, and Fernandinho's been brilliant, I think, on extension, but weaned out the team. Sergio Aguero weaned out the team. Claudio Bravo at 36, you're going to have to get rid of some of those players and fulfill them. And I don't wish to bring the point up again. The death of his mother, Rob, might have had an effect on his thoughts of where he wants to be with his football club.
Yeah.
We believe his family had moved back to Spain anyway. He may look at it and just wonder whether he needs to be back closer to the family. We've talked about how the virus is going to change football and change people's lives. Maybe he might look at that and change. I mean, from football's point of view, we hope not. Manchester City certainly, but it might not just be a football decision, because I think that's an easy decision to make. It might have other consequences.
No, that's a good point, Rob. And we'd love him to stay in the Premier League. When you look at the managers now that the league has, I mean, it's packed out with personalities, with talent, with experience, with trophies. And love him to stay on. But it's a good point you make there. And maybe, he's had a lot of years now. He's travelling and managing different teams. Maybe back to Spain or Catalonia is maybe where he wants to be. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah,
absolutely. And listen, mate, that was our first podcast on the state of the Premier League, where we looked at the two teams. Some breaking news for our fans, though. Look out for an Instagram Live next Monday.
Oh, yeah.
13th, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific. We'd love all our listeners and viewers to join in the conversation, and they can do that.
Ask some questions.
NBC Sports account or the Two Robbies Instagram account, and the more the merrier. We should have some fun with that. And if it goes well, Mustoe, it's the kind of thing we might do on a regular basis. I know you already did a one Robbie show in the Mustoe. I wasn't too happy with that. I got my agent to speak to your agent. But
Kyle. I saw Kyle, Rob, and he said, you and Robbie, you should be out there doing these Instagram lives. And you know what we're like. We're not super tech savvy. And I'm like, okay, I'll go inside and I'll try it. Because we had one of these distance conversations the other day. And I'm like, I'm on a Two Robbies Instagram and I'm like, live. I go, oh, there you go, boom. And I put it on. And all of a sudden, like, I got the camera on the wrong way. It's looking at the window. And then all of a sudden I see all these boom, on. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? And actually Rebecca jumped on, and Adam, our producer, jumped on. And actually I managed to get Rebecca on, because you can get two faces on there. So me and you, our ugly mugs will be on there. And all these questions came firing in, and I showed them my wife's cooking, and she made these cookies and stuff like that. And I showed them a little bit of the house and all that. So I didn't really know what I was doing, but people seemed to like it. And I just thought, and more seriously, Rob, if there's a big story that comes out, we can jump on, and fans can immediately ask us what we think about, wow, City have been banned for 2 years, or wow, they just fired, Ancelotti, or whoever it is. And people can ask us questions about what we think. So I think it's something, Rob, that we'll do through the Two Robbies NBC Instagram account.
Interaction. So that's Monday. Don't forget, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific. Join us on NBC Sports account or the Two Robbies Instagram account. And there's plenty of other content out there for our Premier League viewers. The Premier League on NBC. That's the group chat between all the team, and led by Lady Lowe. She keeps us all in check. We'll be back with the Two Robbies podcast next week, when we'll look at the next two teams, Robbie, that we've got to. So we'll look at Leicester and we'll look at Chelsea. Our viewers, don't forget, on NBC Sports Gold, that programming now is free. So if you go to NBCSports.com/free, there's so much great content there. Honestly, there's stuff you don't want to miss out on. So make sure you go to NBC Sports Gold, the NBCSports.com/free, and all that is out there for people to see. So, Mr. Mustoe, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Keep healthy, keep safe. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch highlights all season long and tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend at 7 a.m. Eastern on NBCSN. And for more than 1,400 hours of exclusive Premier League content, make sure to visit NBCsports.com/gold.